Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bravery Behind the Brand podcast. And today I have with me Lixxy Harkcom from Sales Success with Lixxy. Hi, Lixxy.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. And I've been looking forward to this because I've been on your podcast, and yours is so crammed full of knowledge and learning, and mine's a little bit more chatty. So I'm just interested to get to know the real Lixie. So, have you had a chance to think about a motivational song?
I have, and at the moment, I would have to say it is I Did Something Bad by Taylor Swift.
Oh, I'm loving her at the moment, but I don't
I'm
know that
obsessed.
song.
So it's off of her album Reputation, and Reputation's my favorite album because she wrote it at a time when her reputation was in tatters. The I Heart Taylor Swift is over party was trending on Twitter, and instead of falling into a black pit of despair and never coming out of it, she wrote an album and reclaimed her reputation, and that's why it's my favorite album. And that song in particular is very much like they've said I've done something bad, but I really enjoyed doing it. I don't think it was that bad, and it's just really uplifting and kind of empowering, and it's a great song.
I love her, and that rings a bell actually. And have you seen Tangent? Have you seen the film with the crawdads sing?
No, I know that she sings. She does the Safe and Sound song in that though.
Oh, the song. Oh, it just sends
Such a good
chills
song.
right through me. Absolutely love it. And I read the book and then I watched the film, and I managed to convince my family to watch it. But how she got the essence of that film in the song was just spellbinding. But she's so good at that, isn't she? That
Yeah,
storytelling in the song, and oh, I just love her. And I
yeah,
loved the summer that we had that Eras tour. It was on the news. She was just so fantastic, and I think she's an incredible role model for young people. And
100%.
that's what I love about her. And I just think, yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah,
great choice.
I'm a huge
Gonna
fan.
add
We
it
could
to
spend
the
this whole
stuff.
hour just talking about Taylor Swift, and I'd be quite
Yes.
happy with that.
I'm gonna add that to the playlist on Spotify. But yeah, I think she's already on there for a few things. But yeah, absolutely love her. And do you have a motivational quote at all?
I have one tattooed on my arm. So it says, and though she be but little, she is fierce. And it's a quote from A Midsummer Night's Dream. It's to describe a character named Helena, who is tiny, but she's very fiercely loyal to all of her friends, which I personally think describes me quite well. So yeah, I got that tattooed on my arm.
It's incredible. I wasn't expecting that. I love that. Do you know who you reminded me of when you did that? Do you know Talisa that was in to do that?
Yeah,
That is
Tulisa
your
Contestable.
power pose. I love that. Wow, amazing.
Thank
And
you.
next question is only because I'm nosy, and we just talked about books already. Do you read?
I do. I've read 200 books this year. 200, I think I'm at 280 now or something
Really?
ridiculous.
Now, do you read them? Do you audiobook them? Or do
No,
you
I
really
read them.
read?
That's all reading on my
Oh,
Kindle.
amazing.
I got made redundant at the beginning of the year. But yeah, that's I'm a big fan of romantasy books. So it's romantic books in like a fantasy setting. So books that
Nice.
have got like fairies or elves or dragons. Those are my favorites.
Game of Thrones fan by any
Yeah,
chance? Oh, I
definitely.
love Game of Thrones. Do you know it was filmed in Ireland, and some of the scenes in it, weirdly, I can recognize. Do you know the scene with the dogs at the dogs very early on? I can't quite
Yeah,
remember it now. I know exactly where that was filmed,
I love that.
and oh, love
I
it,
did
love it.
a weekend in Northern Ireland and did a tour of all the filming locations and went to the studios where it was
Really?
filmed.
Oh, I haven't
Yeah, I'm a
been.
huge
Oh,
fan.
I'm so desperate to go as a huge fan. I didn't get into it initially. And I watched the first episode, and I have to say it put me off. Do you remember that first?
It's
And I was just
brutal.
like, what is this? And both my husband and I would watch it, and then everybody else is watching it, and I'm really nosy, and there was such a big hoo-ha, and I thought, I don't like being left behind. So you have to watch the end of the first episode
Yeah,
and then you're hooked. But oh, I can't believe you've been on that
it
tour.
was so
Oh,
good. And walking my favorite filming location that we saw was the King's Road. So
yes.
they walk down it quite a lot. And it's got the trees over it, and it looks exactly like that in real life. It was
It
really
does.
cool walking down the King's Road.
Amazing. Did you get nice photographs?
Yeah, so many.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Oh, it's ridiculous that I haven't been because my family all live there. But I have promised them that we will go because my family are fans as well. I mean, thank you for that. Amazing. So we'll get into the juicy stuff now. So tell me about your business. What are you working on, and who or what inspired you to start it?
Oh, do you want me to do those in order, or can I start at the
You
beginning and
can
then
start
work
at the
my way
beginning,
through?
work it out, because I've read your backstory and it's really interesting.
Yeah, so when I was in my early 20s, I was married and it was a very emotionally abusive marriage, which I was not very happy in, as you can imagine. Managed to leave that, but at 23, I was divorced and living on a sofa, which is not really how I pictured spending my 20s. So I reevaluated what I was doing. I was working in a call center at the time, left that, applied for a corporate job in London that was, I didn't really understand the job other than it was in sales. And 30 days later, I was moving to London. It was insane. Over the next 7 years, I built a really successful corporate career in sales, and I was on multi six figures at 31, which is insane. And I, even before having been divorced and going through that situation, earning six figures or multi six figures wasn't even on my radar. So doing it after that was amazing. And that's at the point where I really wanted to start the business so that I could help other women earn more money, which is what I do now. So I help female entrepreneurs who are really passionate about what they do, but sales isn't their main skill. I help them with the sales in their business so that they can earn more money.
I just love that. And it's so interesting because everybody starts a business because they've got something that they love. And then they love doing that. And then they go, oh, I've got to go on social media. Oh, I've got to sell this stuff. Oh, I've got to talk on stages. And that's where people like us come in. We can plug all of those gaps. And one of the things I wanted to mention about you is obviously, I'm interested in branding, and you are always on brand. You are yellow Lixxy, and I never see you not on brand. So tell me about the yellow. Is it just something that you like, or because you're always beautifully matched? And when I talk about personal brand, and I say, "What do you want to be known for? What's your thing?" When someone sees something, what do they think of? And you got it, a fine art. So how did that come about? And I love it.
So yellow has always been my favorite color. It's always been part of my brand. So I started the business in February 2021, and I was at an event in October 21, and I saw a couple of speakers who were just wearing something yellow, and I was like, I don't actually consider it's my favorite color. I don't actually wear that much yellow. So I went on Shein and I spent like £200 on yellow clothes, and then it became like my entire personality. And now I wear yellow every day. And since October 2021, I've only not worn yellow on 2 days. And that's because I was in fancy dress at Disneyland.
That is dedication. I love that. I love that someone can, and I even noticed it just subliminally, and people obviously will, but that's just fantastic. And I love it when people do it on their social media and you can see it and you're looking for. So the thing that I talk about, because it's like, what's your quirks? What do you want to be known for? I find myself talking about espresso martinis a lot. So when people mention espresso martinis, I want them to think of me, which I think isn't a bad thing. And I
No.
always say, I genuinely do make the best espresso martinis in the world ever, but I can't walk around with one of those in my hands all day. So you might inspire me. But I notoriously all my life have worn black, which is not a good thing when you're doing branding. So maybe I should look for a brighter color, but I don't think yellow will work. But it absolutely suits you, suits your personality, and suits
I'm
your brand.
glad that it does because I don't think it would stop me wearing it. So I'm lucky that it does suit me.
No, it does. Honestly, it just works. It works so amazingly well.
Thank you. And you say about branding there, it's one of those. So I didn't do it because it was part of my brand. I did it because I like the color yellow. But what I find now is when I go to events, people will come up to me and they'll be like, "Oh, you're Lixie," and I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "I recognize the yellow," and I'm like, it works. Like branding can be such a small thing that you do, but it makes such a big difference."
Yeah, and there's a lot of people around us in our industry that are known for very specific
Mhm.
things. And I love that, if you say one thing and I'll immediately do that. And it's just absolute genius. But it's always the very simple things that we were sick going, that's absolute genius. It's really something to think about, something very simple that can be tied back to you. And with personal branding, you've absolutely got it cornered. So well done.
Thank
I tip my cap to you. Absolute genius.
you.
So what is your biggest challenge? What's been the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome in business? Because it's not easy, but I think you've got the sales know-how. And for me, I find that probably one of the hardest things. I know a lot of people hate sales. It's never
Mhm.
frightened me. Yeah. And I always think if you're selling your own product, you just got to get over it because it's yours. You should be able to sell it with passion because you've come up with it. So what's been your biggest challenge taking sales out of the equation?
I have four chronic pain conditions, so managing my health alongside running a business has been the most challenging thing, and showing up even when some days I really don't feel like it, because if I don't show up, the business isn't open. So learning to listen to my health and do more when I've got more energy, and then really take the time when I don't have the same level of energy and do kind of less things and focus on less has been a real learning curve, because previously I would just keep going and I would power through and make myself worse by continuing to work at the same level, even though all of my pain was really bad that day, and it ends up meaning that my like flare up of pain lasts a lot longer. But giving yourself permission to work less when you're a business owner, I think is a real skill that we have to learn.
Yeah. And I think harnessing when you feel well, do
Yeah.
what you can when you feel well, because a lot of people do try to power on through, and I've done it myself, and I've tried to power on through, but what that results in is me just crashing completely, unable to do a thing. And you're lucky, we're lucky when you work for yourself. You can make those choices if you can fit
Mhm.
it in. And if you've got good clients or you've got a business that's a little bit flexible, that's one of the beauties, isn't it? That you can build that flexibility in. And amazing that you can manage that with, hopefully, you haven't learned the hard way. Powering on through.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. And, everyone talks about self-care and you have to sit down and think, what does that really mean? Have
Mhm.
I built it in? And I've recognized recently I've not been good at that. And it takes a lot for me to have to admit that, because
Mhm.
I look after everybody else and I make sure that everybody else is okay. And I do neglect that. So it's just good to get that message out there that you have to look after yourself,
Mhm.
especially when you're working for yourself, because if you don't, the results can be absolutely catastrophic.
For
So
sure. And it's how can you put self-care into every day? It's not waiting until you get the chance to do like a spa weekend. Like that's not
yeah,
self-care.
yeah,
That's a holiday.
yeah.
It's what can you be doing every day to make sure that you are taking care of your body and your mind so
Yeah.
that you can continue working.
And I did used to think that, because for me that term's relatively new. Self-care, like you just said, was this big thing. Oh, it's a day to the spa. Oh, it's a day doing this. But no, you're right. It's building those habits in
Mhm.
that, eat well. And my worst thing is I don't eat well because I'm so busy in the day. I will survive literally, that you're gonna laugh. I will survive on a bowl of crunchy nut cornflakes, and I've
Oh
done
my
that for
God.
years. I know. Because if I can grab it quickly and eat quickly. I eat to not feel hungry, but I
Mhm.
know my nutrition could be a lot better because I'm always busy, but you need to build that in, sleep well, all of those things.
Mhm.
But yeah, not save it up till the end of the month whenever you desperately need it, and probably won't enjoy it as much anyway. So if you could give yourself one piece of advice when starting out, what would that be?
Get really clear on who you help and what you help them with, and be able to articulate that easily to the people around you. Um, it took me a long time to work out because like I said, I wanted to help people earn more money, and it took me 3 years to get to the point where I realized that what I could really help with was businesses and their sales. So the previous 3 years, I went through a lot of changes of who I was helping and what I was helping them with. But since um, being really clear on it and like I don't want to say picking a niche because it's you don't have to if you don't want to, but getting really clear on what you're helping your ideal client do makes it so much easier for you to talk about it, and also for your ideal client to understand that you're talking to them and that you can help them with that specific problem.
Hmm. I couldn't agree with you more. And when I started looking at my business, I felt like a bumblebee buzzing around a flower because I knew it was there, but I couldn't quite nail what it was. But I'm really glad that I took my time and I spent such a long time working out who my ideal client was. And
Mhm.
like you say, you don't have to be that specific, but I wanted to make sure that my promise held water, that I could look at my client in the eye and say, this is my promise to you, this is what I'm going to deliver. But weirdly, I've worked with so many coaches, and I've worked with some fantastic coaches, and I've worked with some coaches that maybe when I was first starting out, they looked great, but they weren't that great. But that's where the disconnect was. Their
Mhm.
words didn't match their actions. So since that's what I've been looking for, to make sure that the words match their actions. And I think even if it takes you months, you've
Mhm.
got to be very, very clear on who you serve and what your promise is, because Yeah, that's all you've got at the end of the day to make sure that that actually matches. But yeah, take as long as you need. But if you say you spent 3 years, then that's absolutely what it takes. And I think it's okay to pivot because I've
Mm.
met a lot of people on this podcast that have pivoted, and I don't even like that word because that makes it sound like, oh, I wanted to do sewing classes, but I've ended up bricklaying. It's not even that.
No, I prefer the term evolving. Like you've
Yes,
evolved the business
exactly.
as you've changed, as the business has changed.
Yeah, and you're growing and you're building other
Yeah.
things in. So I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. How comfortable are you with your audience and how comfortable are you showing off online? And the killer question, do you dance on social media?
I'm perfectly fine showing up for my audience. I love being on camera. I don't dance on camera, but that's just because I don't generally dance in general. I think I probably would if somebody was like, "We need to do this dance." I don't think I'd have too much of a problem with it. But yeah, I'm really comfortable on video. I've spent my entire corporate career on video calls, so doing videos for reels and stories just felt like a natural progression.
It's so good. It's good to have that uh, medium there when you are comfortable because it's just this free resource that we have, and we're going to the audience you can reach is huge, and it worries me that so many people, because that's where I get them when they don't want to go on camera. And I just think at the moment, faced with AI, your personal brand, the quirks that you have that make you you, people don't realize what gold they have, and that unique skill, that unique quirk is standing out is absolutely the thing that is going to sell them. So you can join my little posse of people. We've said that you'll see me dancing on social media when I've made 1 million. It's
Yeah, right.
really,
I'll take that bet.
and I don't think my two grown-up daughters would appreciate it either.
I love
Well,
that. But
do you
yeah,
know what?
I'm much more comfortable on video than having my photo taken. Don't love posing for photos
Mm,
because I feel like I look really awkward in photos. But on video, like you said, like it shows your personality and it's you talking directly to your audience and it just feels a lot more personal and a lot like freer.
yeah. I don't like posing for photographs either. And I can go on video. I don't have a script and I can
Mm.
talk quite comfortably. And it's weird, but I'm just so grateful that I can do it, and it doesn't bother me. But the minute and actually, one of my hobbies is photography. And the reason for that is I realized early on in work, I thought, haha, if I'm behind the camera, no one's going to be taking any photographs of me. So I did a course, like a community thing at the local school, which was fantastic. I loved it. I wanted to learn some of the technical elements. But weirdly, I am not a good subject, but I can take some really nice photographs and I know how to get a nice photograph.
Uh-huh.
But to get it to photograph someone well, I can take nice formal portraits and stuff. But what I do, I photograph people when they're not aware that I'm photographing them.
Yeah.
Or my
Love a
trick
candid
is
shot. Mm.
yeah, and I say to them, "Oh, I'm just going to take some test shots," so they relax, and that's when I get my shot. But I am not a good subject. I hate it. Do you watch Friends? You know that shot with Chandler? That is me. I just cannot.
When they're doing their engagement photos.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it is, and I can't even see it in myself. It just makes me cringe.
I love that.
So, what is next for brand Lexi? What have you got for 2025?
Oh, that's a great question. So I'm relaunching my one-to-one coaching in January. So this year the focus was on my group, my mini mind. But next year I really want to focus on evolving the one-to-one and what I do in one-to-one because I think there's definitely still space for it. Not everybody wants to be in a group, and I want to make sure that the clients that I'm working with are getting the most out of the programs that we're getting together. So that's going to relaunch in January, which is very exciting.
Amazing. And anything else on the pipeline, or is that just focusing on just the one thing?
Yeah, I like to do kind of one big thing a quarter. So that's my big thing for the first quarter of the year. And then the second quarter will be launching the mini mind again, which
Mm.
is it's like a mini mastermind. So you get
I
all of the
like
support
that.
that you
Yeah,
thank you. You get all of
yeah.
the support that you'd expect in a mastermind, but the group of people in it is a lot smaller. So there's only 6 people in it.
Mhm. I like because masterminds sometimes I think of them as a little bit intimidating. And I kind of, yeah, it's just interesting your perception of the words. And
Mm,
I'm in a couple of groups at the moment, and they're not called masterminds, but although they may as well be. But I love them. They're small, and I'm getting so much out of it. But if they had the label mastermind on, I may not have gone for them. Isn't that so
mm.
interesting? But I have seen your mini mind, and I thought, oh, I like that. That's a
Excellent.
nice idea.
I'll come and speak to you too. But yeah, that's what I find in the masterminds that I've been in. The group is really big. They have like, I think the smallest group I've been in is 12, and the biggest is like 60. And
Yeah.
the idea of a mastermind is that you can be really vulnerable and like talk about the fact that maybe something in the business isn't working. But when you've got that many people that you don't know, in the same group, it's really hard to be vulnerable. So what I wanted from the mini mind was just the 6 people, so that you can really get to know the people in your group and can share like your business struggles and wins with that small group of people. And it kind of goes back to that the saying that you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So that's why I decided on 6, because I wanted, if you're the one person, then you're the sum of the 5 other business owners that you're spending your time with.
That's so good because I rarely feel comfortable enough in a group of people to sort of show any vulnerability because I
Mm,
said at the beginning of the podcast, I'm the fixer, I'm the one that does everything, I'm the most organized, and business isn't easy. And that's the thread of this podcast, the bravery behind the brand. It takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get to where you're at. But I have had to try to be vulnerable and turn up and say, you know what, this didn't work, and it's honestly it's so hard for me because I always have to have this sort of exterior. But I do like that idea of being comfortable enough to do that. And I know that I wouldn't be able to do that if I was in a group of 60
yeah.
people. It would never happen. And the theory or the ethos of a mastermind wouldn't work for me. And also, I wouldn't want the other people on the mastermind to think, "Oh, she's not that good." Oh,
Which I don't think they do, but it's our perception of it, isn't it? Like I'm the same as you. I don't like admitting that things haven't worked, and I've had to
hmm.
learn that it's okay to ask for help. But
Yeah,
yeah, in the mastermind where there were 60 of us, I definitely wasn't
no,
admitting that something in my business wasn't working. So I
no.
think the smaller group is it's just, yeah, and also it means that quite often, like the business owners that we talk to, they're solopreneurs. So they're working on their own at home, and they might not necessarily have like a group of business besties, as I like to call them.
Mhm.
Um, and being able to come into a group where it is just the 6 of you and you can really get to know them is a
Mhm.
nice little way of like creating a group of business besties that you can spend your time with.
I love that too. And if you are in a group and someone does show a vulnerable side and said, I've done this and this hasn't worked, do you not find that you're fascinated and you're like, it's so revealing because if someone you admire and you think, they know what they're doing, if they're, vulnerable and honest, it just makes me feel better. And I think I don't have to look like I've got it all sussed. I'm, being so hard on myself for being in business for 6 months. No one hits the ground running. No one's like making a million in that time frame. But the collective learning of the hive, I think, is just so incredible. And to be able to support other business owners in that space is so valuable. But
Mm.
yeah, I would get lost. I would probably end up spending a fortune to be in one of these masterminds, and it wouldn't benefit me at all. And I would probably feel really intimidated, to be honest. But yeah, I do like your mini mind. Yeah, that's
Thank
such
you.
a good idea. Yeah, really good idea.
I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, and so you should be. So what this is a thought-provoking question. What legacy would you like to leave behind? Personal or
Big question, isn't
professional?
it?
Hmm.
So overall, I would like the thing that people say about me after I'm gone is that I helped people, that I spent most of my life helping other people in whatever way that I could. At the moment, that looks like helping other business owners earn more in their business. In my personal life, I retired my mum. She was a nurse. She got long COVID. She wasn't well, so I have retired her. I have retired her. I now pay her finances so that she doesn't have to work. And yeah, that's the legacy that I want to leave behind, is that at every opportunity I helped when I could.
That's an incredible legacy. And when I ask that question, pretty much that's what everyone says. They want to be able to help people. And it's just so lovely to think that you can. And your mom, that's incredible. And
Thank you.
is your mum recovered now? Is she recovered
She's
from
getting there.
her?
Yeah, she's doing much better, thank you. She also had really bad knees. She's just had one of them replaced. The other one's going to happen in January. So yeah, she's definitely on the mend.
Well, amazing that you're able to do that, and that freedom and that choice to be able to do that is worth everything, isn't it? And
Yeah.
incredible legacy. And your legacy will be many, many, many years off because there's still a lot to see from Lixxy. There's a lot more to go. So, such an interesting conversation. So, where can we find out more about you online?
Instagram is the place that I hang out the most, so it's Lixxy_sales success. But yeah, drop me a message. That's where I spend most of my time.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me, Lixie. I knew I'd enjoy this one, but it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me.